focus correctly here. I am coming to you today with a live video, and I'm going to be crafting and showing you what I'm making. Just want to make sure that I have the focus correctly on here. And if you stop in, please say hello. If you're rewatching this video, then this is just me making a card with my Tonic dies and stamps. And I'm just going to do a little housekeeping here so that I can watch the chat if anyone stops by, as I always say. All right. So what I have here, if you're rewatching this video, is that I have some of my products that I've gathered from TonicStudios. And I've started cutting out some papers and stamping and heat embossing. I've also used some Nouveau mousse and paste, and I'm going to try to make this a very glimmery card. Just having a lot of fun here with different products. So I'm going to take a look here. Okay, all right, so the first thing that I've done is that I've used some heavyweight cardstock, both from TonicStudios and from my stash. One of them is from this Precious Pearl Mix card pack, and actually I should say two of them are. One of them is the Pearl White, and I've also used the Sugar Crystal, and I'm going to show you both of those. I've also used just a plain white cardstock, and I've stamped this sentiment here, which says wishing you all kinds of wonderful, and I have heat embossed that in gold, as you can see there. So it's got a nice pretty shine. And for that I did use Recollections embossing powder. It's called Pirate Gold. So it's this one here. And we're actually stamping stuff. Okay, I thought it was Recollections. It's not. I correct myself. So this is just some old embossing powder I've had in my stash. And what I'm going to start with here is I have a bit of ink here, and this is some Distress Oxide ink or actually I should just say Distress ink in Sponge Sugar from Ranger, this one here. It's going to match the very light pink cardstock that I have here. It's almost like a nude pink, if you will. And all I'm doing is adding a bit of color here to the edge, and it's going to help bring out the shape a little bit because it will contrast with that stamped sentiment, and it'll make sense in a moment. But if you see, it's just a very slight ink, pink ink on the edge there. So if you're joining me, please say hello, and I'll say hello to you. That way I'm not ignoring you. But it'll all start making sense in a moment. I'm going to adhere the sentiment onto that scallop circle. And I'm just using some Barely Art glue here. And I've learned that less is more with this type of adhesive, so I'm just going to dot it on here, and this is just going to go right in the center. Now my sentiment wasn't exactly centered when I cut it out, but I think it's good enough. So there it is. I think it's a beautiful stamp. It's my first time using this stamp, and this was from a Tonic craft kit, but if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer that. And there that is. This is going to go on the base of my card, and what I've done here, and you'll see in just a second, is I've used another TonicStudios die that I have, and I cut into this white pearl cardstock. Underneath that, I've used another piece of cardstock to layer and add some shine. That shine comes from this Nouveau mousse. It's, Glacier Paste, this one here. And this is in Frosted Petal. It's a really beautiful pink. Let me go ahead and show that for those of you who may rewatch the video. So it's got that beautiful light pink color. And again, that's what's given that paper the shine underneath. So it catches a lot of that pearlescent color in that pink when the light hits it. And that's layered on top of this pink cardstock. And what I've done is I use the same scallop circle that I use to cut this pink piece here. I've also used to cut into that pearlescent white paper and the pink cardstock. And that's created this hinge here, if you will, just by folding it on that part there. And then now this is going to layer on top, and this is actually going to be the inside of my card. So I'm going to add some adhesive here and layer this down. And again, just adding a small amount. You don't need a whole lot because this is very strong adhesive. And I'm going to try to center this as much as possible here, but being mindful of how this will look when it's layered on this side as well, because it's going to close this way. However, you won't see that part too much when the card is done. And this is just a folding technique I wanted to try. I don't know that it has a name, but I thought that would be fun to do. On this panel, which is going to be the center panel of my card, I'm also going to embellish. And this is actually going to be, I think, the prettiest part of the card. I'm hoping anyway. So for that, I have a space here and I want to fill this in, and I've cut out this gorgeous dragonfly. And this is where I use the sugar crystal cardstock from TonicStudios. I've cut this multiple times, actually 3 times. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to remove the part here that I won't need because this will be layered on top of that base piece. So I'm just going to fussy cut this here. Just like so. And I'm going to keep going till I get the result that I want. And this might be a quiet morning of crafting for me, but I'm okay with that. If anyone rewatches the video, just let me know if this has been helpful to you or if you've gotten any ideas. Okay, so this is as much of that as I need just to layer on top. And I'm going to do the same thing again. No need to be too precise, but it's good if you are because it'll be seamless once you layer the pieces together. So sometimes it's easier to do it from the back of the card if there's a lot of shine or designs on the front. So there's the second piece, like so. And this is going to layer here. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to place some vellum behind this wing, if you see here, so that way there is a bit of shadow but not too much behind that. So I'm going to find a piece of vellum here in my stash. Grab that from my shelf here. There we are. So I have a piece of vellum, and if you're not familiar with this type of paper, it's just very lightweight, but it can be strong. It's just wonderful to use as a layering piece for any delicate project because then of course you can see what's underneath very clearly. So what I'll do now is I'm just going to place adhesive on the wings here, and then I will cut around it. So again, not a lot is needed, but I'm going to go around the perimeter of the wing here. And then I'm also going to go around the smaller wings. And vellum will crinkle quite easily if it's very wet. So that's another reason not to use too much adhesive, so that you won't get any buckling on that paper. But there that is. It's as simple as that. And I'm going to set this aside for a moment. And I'm just going to place this down like so. And now I'm going to fussy cut around it. So it's good to have some nice sharp scissors. And I'm going to do what I call my base cut first, which is to just remove this from the larger piece of vellum here. I'm hoping to enter this card into a challenge. So that prompted my, I guess, the inspiration for it, but I also wanted to make sure that I use these because I had not used these materials, and I wanted to be sure to take advantage of them. So why not? Okay, so as you can see, I'm just going to go all the way around. Now you can also, if you want to, you can use a knife blade for this. It's up to you, whatever you're more comfortable with. I find that these little scissors are sharp, quite sharp, and they help with this type of fussy cutting. And I want to make sure not to cut the rest of my die cut, of course, so got to be careful there. Keep working on this. So if you're re-watching the video, feel free to forward past this part here because fussy cutting can be a bit tedious to watch. But I'm here all on my lonesome at the moment, so I'm gonna just take advantage of that and just take my time. No need to rush. Again, flipping this backwards sometimes helps as well to find your edge. It's a quiet, snowy day today here in New York, which is where I live. It's a perfect day for crafting. Okay, I'm going to keep going around, and I'm almost done with this one. The little antennae are probably the hardest part to cut around, so I guess I should have skipped that part, but I will just keep cutting until I'm happy. And the good thing is that if it's not perfect, it's okay because it's vellum and it won't be as visible as if you were cutting with, say, a very bright piece of paper underneath. It's quite forgiving, I think. Okay, so I think that's good enough, and I'm going to put a dark piece of paper behind it so you can see the results. But that's what that looks like now. It has that vellum behind it, and I think it makes it a little more special. So this is going to be, again, placed in the center of my card. Let me set this aside for a moment. And I'm not going to put it in the exact center of the card. I'm actually going to have it a little toward the side here, just like so. And that way it creates a bit of a flight pattern there. I'm going to set this down. I'm just going to apply adhesive here at the center. Just like that. And again, I have these pieces that will layer right on top. So for this, what I can do is that I can add different colors. And because this glitter paper is holographic, you can actually color right on top of it if you like. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to use an alcohol marker. I'm going to place a scrap piece of paper underneath. Hi, Angela. Happy New Year, darling. Thank you for joining me. Can you hear me well? Please let me know. Because I was actually not talking very loud. And I guess that's because I'm here by my lonesome. But thank you for joining me. I hope you can stay while I craft. And I hope you're well also. I haven't heard from you in a very long time. And that's, of course, not your fault whatsoever. I've been away, and I've not been on YouTube very much. Oh, hi. Really? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Remind me of your first name again. You see why I'm a diva. I'm so sorry to have forgotten. I'm horrible. I have to say, I confess I'm very, I'm not very good at remembering first names. And now I've known Angela for quite a while. Gosh, I would say maybe 2 years now, Angela. Time flies. But I'm trying to remember people's names. I'm trying to be good at that. So ladies, I'm just using an alcohol marker here. This is a Copic number RV13. And it's just a nice bright pink. And I guess you would say it's to have a bit of a surprise color. Oh, that's wonderful. Lisa. Thank you, Lisa. So here's what I did here. And you're going to notice, I mean, this does have a glitter layer, if you will, this cardstock. But let me show you the difference. And you'll see it better with this background. So you see it went from this white to the pink here. But it still remains nice and glimmery. So this is going to be a nice glimmery card. And now what I want to do is, because this is going to be a layer here, I'm actually going to introduce another color. Because this is going to be a nice whimsical card. Now, let's see here. I think I want to use this mint green. Let's give it a try. Why not? Because I have some green on the other layer that I'll show you in a moment. But this one's going to be a little bit darker. Just, again, because it's being layered. Now you could, of course, use other types of ink on this kind of paper. And if you're curious, I can show you the paper again. I showed it at the beginning of the video, but I was here alone. Oh, thank you. No, I haven't shown all of the materials, Lisa, but I will. I'll recap and definitely show you guys everything. It just, these are TonicStudios products that I've had and not used. And I told myself that this year, instead of going overboard with materials, I want to use what I have, because I think it's a bit shameful to have materials that are just sitting there, right? And of course, we all have the best intentions of using what we have, and it just sometimes can get out of hand, or life gets in the way, of course. So, but this is the Dragonfly from a Designer's Choice die set that TonicStudios released. So this is the entire Dragonfly, which is adhered here. This is going to be the center panel of my card, and I did layer that with vellum. Now on top of that, I'm going to place the layer of the wings, but I'm going to, as you saw there, I'm going to alternate the colors, and that's just to give it more depth. You could keep it all one color, but if you can add more, why not? There are no rules to this, of course. But it did come with several more dies, so I'll be showing you so that you guys have a frame of reference. Now, recently, TonicStudios opened the vault, as they call it, which that means they re-release for a very short period of time the dies or die collections, die sets that have been from previous collections. And if you don't know anything about TonicStudios, they have what I would call exclusive die sets. So generally speaking, if you don't jump on it when they're released, then you've missed out. But once or twice a year, they open the vault and you can get collections that you otherwise would have missed out on. This one was recently released as a, you know, in the vault, as I mentioned before. Now, this just fell off, as you could tell, okay? I think it's because it's glitter cardstock and it's going to take a little bit longer to dry with this type of adhesive. So I'm going to just go ahead and add hot glue just to make life easier. It's always an option. I have my hot glue gun here to the side, so just going to add a little bit there, and that's just to make it dry a little bit faster. So I'm going to add that here, just like so. Okay, and again, now you can see those layers, and whoever receives the card will see, you know, they can pop it out once they open it. But I've also used here this Nouveau embellishment mousse. This came also as part of the Rustic Rose collection that TonicStudios sent me. This one's in mint tea, and it's an absolutely gorgeous color. What I did was that I used the pearl cardstock. Let me show you that again. It came in this paper collection. I've used the pearl white cardstock. It looks just like this. There it is, and you can see it has some sheen to it. But I added the embellishment mousse to it, and I got this gorgeous, very light pale green color, and that's what I'm going to put here. I've cut this out using a different die set, and I'll show you that. That was from a craft kit. So I'm just going to place these here sort of randomly. Of course, I'm using a diagonal perspective here, following the same line of the dragonfly. So I'm going to put one in each corner, and this is just a fun, whimsical card. So I think because of the temperature here, though, my glue is not drying as fast as it normally does. But we'll come back to this panel if I have other pieces left over. Now we're going to go on to the front of the card. I've again cut out using the Dragonfly Easel die set, which was a designer series die. It comes with these pieces here, as well as some other butterflies you're going to see in a moment, and flowers. So I cut these out using the same pearlescent cardstock that I did apply the embellishment mousse to. So you see that they're all in that green color. And I've done that to layer on top of another piece of pearlescent cardstock. What I did here was that I used some distress ink and spun sugar from Ranger, and I created an aperture. So let me show you what that looks like. I took the circular die and cut it out of just a scrap piece of paper. I placed it on top, and then I inked with my distress ink, and it added that light pink color in the center. Or we're going to call it the center, of course. Doesn't mean it's perfect, but yes, thank you, Angela. That's exactly the look I was going for. So I'm going to layer that on top of another piece of pink cardstock. This is 110-pound cardstock. I believe I got this at Michael's, maybe. So I'm just going to layer that on top like so. And I'm going to use some wet adhesive again here. You can use dry adhesive if you like. So I hope you guys have had a good beginning of the year here. I was visiting my mother in Puerto Rico for a little while, and I've come back very recently. So thankfully, all is well. I'm very happy to report that. And today I had some time to craft, so I decided to just come along here and share what I'm making. Now on here, I'm going to layer those floral wreaths, if you will. It looks like a wreath to me in a way, like so. I'm going to add one on one end. And I love this design. It's very whimsical and sweet. So I'm just going to apply adhesive here and there. And as you can see with this pearlescent paper, you could use either side. So if you just wanted to do white on white, it would be very elegant, very pretty. And this will also pop out. I'm going to show you that feature in just a moment. It's so sweet. Thank you so much, Lisa. Yes, it's always wonderful, you know, when your loved ones are well. She had been in the hospital, so I took a trip down to see her, and God is good, you know. So I'm going to apply this here now. Just like that. And if it's not perfectly centered, you have to practice forgiveness, you know. Allow yourself to not be perfect, right? But the other one, as you can tell, you could probably see that coming. The other one's going to go on the other side, like that. And then these have little flowers that pop out, little pieces of butterfly that pop out. But I wanted to show you, this die is unique in the fact that these little petals, look at this, they all pop out. And I apologize for the adhesive on my finger there. But if you can see, look at how darling that is. It's very delicate, but all of these little petals will pop out of each and every one of those flowers. Of course, with the exception of these tiny ones, but that's understandable. I'm just going to pop those little pieces of paper out so you can see. So if you did this in really bright colors, it would be really adorable too, because then you're going to get the contrast, and then the wings of the butterfly are the same way. They pop out just like that. So you get dimension right away with these. So again, I'm just going to apply a little bit of adhesive here and there. No need to cover the entire thing. You just want to be a little bit careful not to apply it on those little pieces that you do want to be able to pop out if you're going to go ahead and try to do that. But it is very, very delicate. This would be wonderful also for a baby card. Really any theme where you just want a delicate look. Okay, so I'm going to apply this here. Now it's probably going to be a little bit closer on one end than the other, meaning in the center here. But I think that that's going to be okay. So maybe I should zoom in. I'm not sure if you guys can see me as well as I think you can. Please let me know. All right. So now what I want to do is that I want to apply this panel to my card. So as I showed you before, this is the center of the card. It's going to fold like this. And you won't be able to see this because it's going to be covered by this panel, which I'm going to adhere to this little tab here. All I did was score this piece of paper to give me a hinge. And you can do this with any paper, really. It doesn't have to, you don't really need a formula. I'm going to use dry adhesive, and then I'm going to add a little wet adhesive also. Just to, I call that insurance, right? Just to ensure a good stick. So I'm just using this score tape. That's what it's known as. And I went blank for a moment there. Oh, you're going in April, Angela. Wonderful. Do you mind my asking which town you visit when you go? I'm always curious as to, I think you said before though, are you from Ponce? Because I can't remember now. But I'm going to add a little wet adhesive here also, just like that. And now I'm going to do my best to layer this evenly top to bottom. like that. And what I'm going for is just that I don't want to see the back of the card once I've layered the top. If it's 100% straight or not, I'm not going to be too concerned because it's going to open like this. All right, so it is kind of a, excuse me, my throat went dry, a Z-fold card. So you could look at it from this perspective. Okay, my little wing got a little bit bent there, but you can look at it from that perspective, or you can look at it from this perspective and it'll still look nice. But of course we need something here in the center, and we're going to keep decorating this. Oh, okay. Oh, thank you, Angela. Yeah, I thought you mentioned Ponce before, and that stuck in my mind because I know someone who has, well, I think she still has a home in Ponce. It's an old, well, I shouldn't say old, old family friend, but she may have sold her house. I'm not quite sure yet. And we love that town. My husband and I went 2 years ago, and we stayed in what is the oldest hotel in the New World, if you will, which a lot of people don't know that about Ponce, is that it does have the oldest hotel in America, and that means north, south, central, and it's called Hotel Melia, and it's absolutely stunning. So that was a lot of fun. Now I could be very intentional here and place these butterflies here. Remember how I said that it wasn't going to be exactly even from top to bottom there? And I'm trying not to tilt this because if I do, I'm going to drop the little pieces here. But these are all the little butterflies and flowers that you can cut out using that same die set. And I think I like that because, again, it fills in those little gaps, and then I can just keep layering if I want to. But this is just going to give you a sampling of what you can cut out. And I did use the same glitter paper from, it's called Sugar Crystal, from that pearlescent pack of papers. And it's fun to layer the flowers. You don't have to layer them on the exact same place every time, so it's really up to you where you place these. I think I'm going to use my hot glue because they're, again, my adhesive, I think it's because of the temperature. It's not grasping as fast as usual. But here's a little butterfly. And by the way, there are 3 butterflies and all 3 are different, which makes me happy because I love variety. So I'm just, again, layering these here and there. You can do it wherever you like. And here's the tiniest little butterfly. It is so sweet. So yes, I don't know, Angela, when's the last time you went to Hotel Melia, but when I was there, in fact, I took a picture, of course. The lobby was entirely white, and I mean everything that you could imagine in the lobby was white. And I thought that that was so stark. I was like, whoa, it almost felt a little bit odd. But, you know, I understood where they were going with that. It was, you know, this whole modern thing. But then they had this big area, I don't know how to say it in English, but an open court is what you would call that. And open courtyard, I should say. And the furniture was all yellow. And that was a lot of fun. Very, very bright, very happy. So here's a sentiment from the, let me show you quickly here. So this is the die set that I've been showing you, or the pieces. So this is, again, the Designer Series Collection Dragonfly Easel die set. And I have not used every single piece, but it does come with this little sentiment here that says, just for you. So that's what I've cut out of white pearl paper here. And then this light pink. It's called Pink Tutu paper from TonicStudios. So I'm just going to layer that as the front of my card. Checking your chat here just to make sure I don't miss anything. So, and if you hear a grumble in the background, it's outside of my home. They're picking up the garbage totes outside, so I'm not sure if you can hear that. But I'm just going to layer this. And again, this is just a nice delicate card. But I'm not done yet. Of course. Now I'm going to pop this up just to give it a little bit of a shadow. So I'm going to use my dimensional adhesive. And of course you could use hot glue if you wanted to. I'm just going to grab a few of these and then cut them. Okay, so Angela, I hadn't been there before. I've only been the one time. But of course it was after Hurricane Maria, and so yes, they did mention to us that they had done some remodeling. And I'm just sad about of course, the earthquakes that happened in Ponce and everything that was damaged, because it is one of the most beautiful cities, I think, in the world. It's just so gorgeous, and the people are so friendly. I was there, of course, like I mentioned, with my husband, and they were so kind to us because, of course, me being from Puerto Rico, I told him that we weren't going to travel as tourists. Rather, I wanted him, you know, to meet local people and see what it's like, you know, in my culture. What are people truly like and all of that. And he fell in love. He just was so happy. So yeah. We didn't get to go this time around, but we would like to return for sure. All right, so you see the sentiment now pops a little bit. There's a little bit of shadow. You don't need to have something to be very extremely busy in order for it to have an impact. It's just a matter of giving a little bit of depth to it. Now, my hot glue, not sure what's going on here today, guys. But I'm going to have to take this little layer off. It didn't stick, so I'm going to try this again. Okay, here we go. All right, so that's what I have so far, just like that. And now I wanted to show you, these are little pieces that I did cut out. Also the same kind of paper, because I did add that embellishment mousse. That one was with this other die set, so let me show you that one. And that came in craft kit number 30. Okay, I know I have it. Bear with me. Absolutely, Angela. You're absolutely right. So it was Tonic Craft Kit 37. Let me take it out of here so you guys can see. And again, these are exclusive die sets, so whenever you get a kit, unless it's re-released with the vault, then, you know, if they're sold out, they're sold out. But this one here in particular came with these, this was called Rose Mailing Circle Dot and Drop. It came with all of these dies, and I'm sorry if I was out of frame there. But what you see here are these almost half moon dies. Came with these as well. Okay, so I've used the stamp, which I showed you guys. It also comes with two other stamps. 2 small circle dies, as you saw there, 3 other ones. I think 3 sentiments, and then all of these half moon dies here. So I've used this one here, and as you can tell, it doesn't cut the border. So that's what I used to cut into this cardstock here. And it gave me that beautiful, intricate swirl. Then I used the circle die, but I only cut into half of the paper. That's what allowed me to do this here. Okay. But behind that is where I placed that nice pearlescent paper, and that's what gave me that look. Now I'm going to add gems to this, and let me zoom out so that you guys can see a little bit better there. There we go. I think that's better. I'm going to add gems and make it a bit more blinged out, if you will. But what's really fun also is, like I said, I was able to cut out these dainty little pieces here. And that is what I'm going to add over here as well. And then these swirls that I've gathered, let me show you guys these. I don't want to get rid of this sort of thing, even though it popped out of that die set that I used in the front of the card. Look at how darling these are. I mean, if you just wanted to save these for your butterflies, you could do something like that. Or you can add them to the rest of your card, as well as the itty bitty little flowers. But in my case, what I want to do is that I want to use them here, just like that, on this side of the card, kind of to tie it all together. In fact, I think I may just use them on the corners here. Let me see. I'm going to take a look here. I haven't planned this out, guys. The only part that I planned out was that aperture there, and that's because I wanted to play around and see how I could use this. So I think I'm going to use those there. So I don't like to think things over too much. So I'm going to go ahead and add these here instead of wasting those. And this is just going to give me a unique little card. And that's what we love about making cards, right? Is that you can make them your own. Oopsie. Here we go again with the glue. Yes, I agree with you. I think it's the same for all of us, Lisa, and thank you so much for your compliment. But I think the same for all of us. If we don't see how we would use a card, or I'm sorry, a supply, then yeah, we're definitely very likely to just pass up on it. But I like to challenge myself to think out of the box with certain things, and definitely just do it for fun, because the worst thing that can happen is that you don't like it and then you can just throw it in the bin and start over. You know, that's one benefit of it being paper. And of course you don't want to use your most expensive paper if it's something you're very unsure of. But you know what, I've used this pearlescent paper, which I wouldn't say it's the most expensive, but in the end, it's been fun. And now I know that there's a lot of green here, but I'm going to compensate for that by using drops and glitter and that sort of thing. Now I've got these rainbow quartz triangles here, and this is some really adorable holographic colored, they're sequins, but they're not round. So I am going to incorporate these here and there, and I'm hoping to be able to anyway. So hindsight is 20/20. Had I thought about this a little bit more, I would have added them to these wings. But I'll be completely honest, I just forgot because again, I'm just having fun here. But what I can do is I can fill little areas of this flower, for instance, with some glue. Okay, so whatever I do down here, I'm going to do up here to make it cohesive. And if you have art glitter glue, you can use that, of course, because that's phenomenal adhesive for this type of application. But now I'm just going to grab a scrap piece of paper here. And I'm going to drop some of these sequins into those spaces. What I like to do is, if I have another scrap piece of paper, I like to press down on it. And this is a lot of, you know, shine and all of that, but I'm doing that on purpose. That's exactly the look that I'm going for. And then when I drop this here, there we go. I've got a center to that flower that has that holographic shimmer to it. Now some of these will fall off, but I'm okay with that. It's just a lot of whimsy here. Now I'm going to do the other side, so I'm just going to flip this over just like that. I already have my glue there. And of course, this could be done with glitter. And I just happen to have these sequins, and I thought the holographic would look nice with the pearlescent cardstock. So yeah, I'm really happy with this. Oh my gosh, I love the result. So I'm going to show you that in just a moment. Just going to put away the excess here back into my little bottle. And of course I'm going to have sequins everywhere, so try not to fight it. All right, so I'm just going to set those aside for a moment. Let me show you what that looks like. So if you see that, now what I've done is I'm being very intentional because I have white pearlescent cardstock here, and I have a white glitter cardstock here in the center. So what I've done essentially is bring in the white into the center of these two flowers, but I've done it with the holographic sequins, and it makes it cohesive because it's tone on tone, if you will. I like to make monochromatic type of projects because I think it does lend that, you know, that look to it that says, you know, she really thought about it, when in reality I haven't. It's just the color scheme or the color palette is what makes it look like, you know, you really tried hard. So yes, definitely complimentary. Oh, the pearlescent. Yeah, that cardstock, let me just tell you, it's just stunning because you can do a lot to it, as you saw here where I applied the embellishment mousse and then I just ended up with a nice smooth green card. Now, the way that I applied it onto this cardstock was that I actually, after setting my application of the mousse, I actually took a wipe, like a baby wipe, and I spread it out. And that's what made it just look so entirely smooth. But you could definitely apply that with texture. You can make it really chunky if you want to. But back to the cardstock here, you can emboss this, and say if I didn't want to cut into it, I could just dry emboss it and get that really beautiful effect. And then here again is that holographic one with the glitter. And just to show you the pack again, this one has embossing already on it. Absolutely stunning there. Very elegant. And then there's this one with a damask style embossing. Now that one's called, yep, it's called Pearl Damask. And the other one's called Pearl Ripple, in case you're interested in those. So here, I've just kept it all with the smooth cardstock, and, you know, as you saw, that glitter one. And I did it here as well with those little details just to make that pop. And now in the centers of that, I'm going to apply little gems and that sort of thing. I also grabbed some sequins here in this pink tutu color, and I can add these here and there. This has more of a peachy tone, however. So what I was thinking about is that this pink that I added onto this I'm thinking in Spanish. Dragonfly. I was trying to think of the name. Dragonfly. The pink that I added to this is a little more red than I wanted. So I want to make that, let's see. I'm going to try to see if I can lighten that a little bit. I'm not sure that I can. Let's see what happens here. I'm just going to place this right underneath. And I'm going to see if I can... Yes, it does take Copics very well. You're absolutely right. All right, so this isn't necessarily lightening the color, but it's going to give me another hue here. And this is R20, which is a lighter red than the other one. The other one had was RV13, so it has some violet in it as an undertone. I'm going to see if I can shift the color a little bit on this. And that, well, you know what? It's all in the pink family, so I guess I shouldn't be too concerned. But I'm going to do the same thing on the other side here. But yeah, these papers you can spritz, you can add mousse, as I mentioned before. You can dry emboss. I mean, really, whatever you want. I just find them to be so very pretty. Okay, so there's that. Don't want to go too crazy with it. And it changed the color ever so slightly, but it's picking up a little bit more of that peach tone that I was going for. Now I'm going to use my glue here, and I'm going to try to add sequins, but I want to be very selective as to where. So I'm just going to go in the center of these two little flowers here. And for this, I'm going to use my tweezers. And only crazy people do this, I think, right? When you pull out the tweezers, that's when you're really being nitpicky, I think. But in any case, these are different size sequins as well. Just to let you know, if you get sequins from TonicStudios, you're not going to get all the same size in the bottle. And I think that's a lot of fun too, because then you can do graduated sizes. These I'm going to show you in just a moment. They are kind of cupped and flower shaped. So if you think all sequins are made equal, they're all the same thing, what's the big deal? I'm here to tell you that no, they're not. They're not all the same. And not that you need them to be cupped and all of that to make your card look beautiful. That's really not, you know, the message I'm trying to give here, but it is fun to have the variety if you can. And ladies, when these things go on sale, then it's a good time to pick them up. So I'm adding 2 there to each side. And then I'm going to also, yes, I don't think there could be any other way to apply them, honestly. I'm going to go into this half moon that I created here with some sequins as well, because again, whatever I did in the center panel, I might want to drag out that way and this way. And I think you know where I'm going with that. So I'm just going to select some areas here where I think it's going to be easiest for me to apply these. And you can always add more, so you don't necessarily have to apply adhesive everywhere. But I'm going to start down here, work my way up. I just found another one on my desk. So are you ladies crafting today? Let me know what you're working on. Yes, those weekend sales. Oh, yeah, I know. Any sale. Oh my gosh. I have to stay away right now. I'm going to be honest. I'm on a spending freeze for the moment anyway. because whenever you travel, right, you have to be careful not to go crazy. And I have supplies for days, so I am not in need of anything. Okay. I love the way that turned out so far. Now I'm going to move in this direction. And it's such a delicate color also that it doesn't, I don't think it looks gaudy. So now what I'm going to do here, okay, so let me show you what I did so far. See how I just did a little here and there. And that adhesive will dry clear, but let me zoom in if you will. Okay, and you see that none of this, if you look at it up close, none of it's perfect. But when it's all together, it tells a story. So that's what matters. Oh, wonderful, Lisa. Yes, I hope you do have a restful Friday. It's important to do that. I've learned that the hard way. That you just can't keep going like a machine. Sometimes we women tend to do that because we want to take care of everybody. All right, so I'm using the tiniest little sequins here for the centers of these little flowers. So yeah, thank God for tweezers. Just gonna go right there, and sometimes you get 2 of them at a time, but I'm gonna get those in there as best as I can. And all I did was apply adhesive to the centers of those flowers, and I'm gonna leave that be for now. Oh wow, wonderful, Angela, Minte. That's gonna be stunning, I'm sure. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much. I think Minte papers are probably the prettiest ones out there. I mean, there's so many beautiful collections, though. It's so hard to choose. But, all right, let me get out my drops here, because the last thing that I wanted to do was to add this color here. And these are Nouveau drops in Duck Egg Blue. So again, because these are all pinks and pearls and all of that, I wanted to add just one contrasting color. You might think the green is the contrasting color here, but I actually think the green blends in quite a bit. So I'm just going to add this here and there. And I see a string here, so I want to make sure I remove that, just because I'm very particular. So I'm going to add this to the centers of the tiniest little flowers here. And I'll show you in a moment what that looks like. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. And then I'm going to go into the centers of the butterflies here and just drag it to create the body of the butterfly. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's just a matter of creating a little line there. And then whatever I did over there, I'm going to carry over here. So I'm just going to dot these little swirls here and there. Again, just to provide that little bit of contrast. And that's what keeps the eye moving around the card. And don't think I want to go too crazy, but it's hard not to with Nouveau drops. You know what? There we go. I think that might be it. Definitely, yes. You're absolutely right, Lisa. And yeah, and I do agree. There's always more. And I've mentioned that on this channel. I love all crafty products because let's face it, look at how fun it is to use them. But I think that all things in moderation is good too. So whatever works for you, you know, then that's what you should do. I agree with that. So here's the final result of this easel, or no, I'm calling it a Z fold card, interactive card. But as you can tell there, I just added the tiniest bit of Nuvo drops. I added the tiny sequins. I added inking in the center here of that panel. We colored the dragonfly with different colors here, added vellum to it, more sequins there in that different shape. And then this was heat embossed with the sentiment. That also got some shimmer paste. And then all of the green paper got Nouveau Mousse. So I think that if I had to grade myself on using my supplies, that this would get an A. Because I used as many supplies as possible on this one card. And as I said before, you can look at it from this perspective. You can just place it on a desk this way and just have a little fun with it. But I'm going to set it aside to dry before I ruin it, of course. And then I'm going to show you guys some other cards that I've been working on. But I hope that you've enjoyed this. And maybe you can get some ideas, take away some ideas for your own card making. But of course, if you have any questions on this, I'll be happy to share. But let's set it aside before she ruins it. And of course, I had some leftover pieces, just to let you know, which you could definitely use to pop these up even further. For instance, if you cut out those little flowers a little more, 2 or 3 more, then you could definitely do that. And in fact, let me show you here. On this one, I doubled up the butterfly. So I did put that smaller one right on top of the larger one, and adding dimension in that manner as well. So let me set this aside, and I'm going to show you some other cards that I've been working on. Now this is changing the tune a bit, because you're going to see how you can go from one end of the spectrum to the other. I'm just going to cover up my glue really quickly here. But lately I've been doing a lot of coloring, because I wanted to get back to basics, and I wanted to do something that I knew that I would enjoy. And I love, love, love to color. So this past Christmas, my husband was kind enough to surprise me with some Copic markers. So I've been playing around a little. Thank you so much, Angela. Thank you, thank you. So here's a little card that I'm going to be sending out in the mail hopefully tomorrow. But I've used some Anita Jerem stamps from Colorado Craft Company, and I had so much fun making this card. So let me show you here. This is what the stamp set looks like. And you'll see that I've made several cards with it. But I had this little, it comes with this little hamster. Let me see here. This one right here. And I just thought it was so, so cute. So obviously you can use it in conjunction with any of these other little critters. But what I did here was that I cut it out multiple times, or I'm sorry, I stamped it out multiple times using the technique where you can, and I forget the name of that, but you can hide part of your image and then stamp over it to get it to look like a crowd. And then I did use 2 of them here separately that I adhered on top of my card. But yes, masking. Thank you, Lisa. So I did that masking technique, and this is going to be for a very good friend of mine. So I wrote "Raise a Hallelujah," because to me they look it looked as if they were praising the Lord, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is awesome. It's kind of like when you're at church and everyone's in the spirit. So I thought that was great. And I just had so much fun creating this card. So as you can tell, I did use little Nouveau drops, and I did some doodling on the edge also, because I didn't want it to be a completely straight edge. And then I just had some papers in my stash. This one here had all those gorgeous little polka dots and things. So I put it on a base of pink cardstock, as you can see here. but my pink cardstock didn't have those polka dots, so I just drew them in. I used my Copic markers and I colored that in just to make it cohesive, and then I copied the little dots and hash marks that you see on that white piece of paper. I did the same thing here, and I think it just, you know, played well with the card there. So thank you. And that's just handwritten. It didn't come with the stamp set. I just did that on my own. And I try to make it cohesive. So what I did was that I used an ink color that matched the background paper. So hopefully, you know, at some point, if I ever come out with my own stamps, be it digital or physical, then that would be a sentiment that I would definitely want. Here's another one, and this one is on a sadder note. This is this stamp here, and I just thought this was an adorable stamp. I did show on my Instagram feed another card that I made using that little bunny, and so here I made an easel card, and what I did was that I used Nuvo drops here to add the raindrops. And then I also used alcohol markers to color that in. I layered it 3 times here, as you can tell, and then I just used little Nuvo drops on the corners there. I wanted to keep it nice and delicate. But it opens like this, and then it says, "Do the storms ever stop? No, they don't, but neither do the rainbows." And I drew a little rainbow with my Copics there because I thought that that would give it a nice little punch of happiness after seeing a little image like this. Thank you. I sure hope so. The recipient of that card, I think, is, yeah, I think she'll like that. So for this here, I wanted to show you before I forget what I used to hold that up were, and I know you are all familiar with this. These little, well, let me show you. From Tuesday Morning, you get these little sequin packs like this, and they come in these cute little tins. Well, I opened it up, and there are quite a few shapes in there, and that's where I found these little pink droplets here. And I thought, well, I know rain isn't pink, but hey, it's my card. So I added some clear ones, and let me show you closely there. I added some clear ones and some pink ones. And I did stamp this out from that stamp set, but I did trace over it again with a pen because I didn't think it came out dark enough the first time. So that's always an option. Thank you. So let me set that aside here so you guys can see it. And then I was on this, you know, kick of easel cards, and I made this other one. You guys, I get dust on everything here, and that's because my fireplace is on, has been on. So I did this one here again using this stamp set. I use the little mice that are on the top there, and I made this. It says, "Today is all about you." Now, the embossing is not too noticeable there, which is, you know, I could always cover it up with another sentiment and just pop it on top if I really want to. But I just wanted to be ready with some cards because I'm always lacking for cards, even though I make so many. I feel like I'm always behind. So I thought that this would be a nice little birthday card. And here, what I did was that I used some... Let me show you. I used a stencil. It looks like this. I think I picked this up maybe at Tuesday Morning. I don't know. It came with several others. And I wanted to give this a try. And I thought it would make some really cool wallpaper-like effect. So I did use 2 different colors of lavender in the background there to have that striped wallpaper effect. I used some banner dies, as you can see. I used some stamps from TonicStudios to, I thought that this would make almost like a Moroccan tile effect down here. So I used my Nuvo drops just to highlight that. And the, yes, I would agree with you. Most definitely. Now, Anita Jerem, she's a very well-known illustrator and book writer. Her children's books were part of the collection that I had for my kids when they were little. So as soon as I saw her releasing these stamps, I just jumped on them. And I told my husband, okay, this is my Christmas gift to myself. So that's why I went ahead and grabbed those. And I, I only wish I had gotten all of them, but I try to be budget, mindful also. So here, this easel card, as you can tell there, what I did here was I cut with this die collection that I used, I cut smaller pieces for the sentiment, and then I used a little brad here so that if I wanted to write a little bit more, then I can do that right underneath, and then just cover it up. And this is how that card can be displayed, just like that. So just a little, I guess, option there. So there's that one. And then this last one is going out to my brother and his wife. I still need to mail this out, but I did show this on my Instagram feed, I believe. Yes, I did. So here I use that little bunny. He's supposed to be holding the balloon, but what I did was that I cut out this little kite instead. And then I used some TonicStudios dies that I have that cut little clouds, added those, and I did dry emboss them. And then just added some little Nuvo drops here and there. The background is also stenciled. So again, I use these stencils that I have and use different colors. This one here, let me show you, is the one that I used on this card. And I thought it had the same look of little kites. So I know that my sister-in-law likes, she likes orange and blue. So that's why I went with this color scheme and gave the little bunny, I made him look as if he was a, little red bunny or little orange bunny, if you will. And then on the bottom, I just used my alcohol markers and created a little grass field. And then I stamped the congratulations and added more little Nuvo drops there, a little green bow. And on the inside, it also has a tiny bit of that stenciling. And I did that with distress inks, just to let you guys know. They may have been oxides, I can't remember right now, but they're definitely from Ranger. So there's that. Yes, you're absolutely right, Lisa. I know, it's incredible. I mean, I feel like when I got a flashback when I saw those images, I thought, oh my gosh. It's kind of like thinking that this is part of my history with my family, because I used to read hundreds of books to my kids. I love reading, and I try to pass that along to them. And I'm happy to report that, yes, it worked. They love reading also. So yeah, this was, lots of inspiration. I don't think I'll ever get sick of these stamps because they're so very whimsical and sweet, and that's just something that I like to begin with. So these were a lot of fun to make. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I was, kind of going through crafting withdrawal because I had been away. So what I did was that I took a moment to take advantage of the supplies, as I said before, use them, and I'm hoping to keep going with it. I don't want to hit a slump, but I'm also being mindful of how I spend my time this year. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, this was all done with Copics and with distress inks. So what I like to do is use the distress inks, as you saw in the backgrounds, and use the Copics. Actually, this bottom here was done with Copics. If I had to do it over again, I probably wouldn't go that dark with it, but I was trying to match the papers, just playing around. You got to get to know your colors also. And that was my first time using that particular marker, but I'm quite happy with it. I hope you guys like these cards. As I always say, if you've enjoyed my video, please give a thumbs up. If you can take anything away from the things that I'm showing you, because it is a lot of fun to learn new techniques or share what we do know. And this is something that I absolutely love doing. So before I go, if you have any questions for me, leave them in the comments, or you can always reach out to me at PaintsandGlitter@gmail.com if something comes to your mind later on, because I know that does happen also. But I do appreciate you being here with me today. And yeah, I'm not sure when I'll be back, but I think that will definitely depend on a card start. Okay, well, you know what, Lisa? For that, what I'll try to do is if I do a card from start to finish in a live, are you referring to one that where I color? Okay, a coloring one. All right, I can do that. I've done it before, so but definitely I can do that. That's not a big deal. I don't think I can do it tomorrow. I'm not quite sure. But if you want to, well, click the notification bell, because I think that's the easiest way to find out if one of my videos is coming up. So yeah, you can click on that notification bell next to the subscription button, and then that way you'll know when my videos are coming up. And okay, sure thing. I can definitely do that. And then that way you can pause and look it over, because a lot of the techniques with coloring have to do with layering, which you probably already know that. And also, well, there's you can get deep into it, but you don't have to. Contrast is always something to keep in mind. But yeah, definitely I can do that. That's not a problem, and we can have a lot of fun with that too. If let me think. I'm trying to think of what you got my mind rolling, girl. I'm trying to think here of these particular stamps. Maybe we could do maybe this one, because this one was a lot of fun for me to color. And let me show you how I use this one. Maybe you've already seen it. Thank you. This is one that I did alcohol coloring with. And if you see there, the shading made it look like he was a furry bunny. And I had so much fun making that. But I'm trying to think back. I think I did this in a live video, and I can't remember now, but I think I did. Yeah, I'm so sorry, I don't remember. But that's this stamp here. But I could do it again, because this was a lot of fun to do. But yeah, loving those stamps, absolutely. But yeah, if you hit that notification bell, then you'll be the first to find out, and then definitely we can have some fun with a live coloring video. And again, I just thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And if you've enjoyed the video, again, as I said, leave a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, please subscribe if you're watching this over again. Most definitely, yes. I know. If we have them, it's a matter of just winging it sometimes, as I did with that card. I mean, I know I had some thinking to do with how I was going to assemble it, but once I kind of got my groove going, I just decided, you know what, let's use it all. But yes, thank you so much, Lisa. God bless you and have a wonderful weekend. Ciao, ciao.